Yo, it's your boy, Alfie King, coming live and direct from the fucking Renault Zoe in the Holiday Inn car park. You know how we keep it real, charging, saving the polar bears, yo. I'm just going to start this thing off right here, right now. 106 miles Chicago, gotta get there, fall down. Come on now, brother, you won't ride along. 106 miles, baby, hope you got some stories to tell. 106 miles, baby. What's happening? What's happening? Come in, get comfortable, get comfortable. It's your boy, Alfie King, here on the 106 Mile podcast in the Renault Zoe, you know, charging, saving the polar bears, you know how we do. Just want to say happy Wednesday to y'all. I'm recording this on the Sunday, but trying to get some time for the edit, because I thought I was a Premiere Pro, and then after watching last week's video, I'm not a Premiere Pro, as I'm sure I'll show in this clip here. But anyway, the theme for this week. I'm not going to have a theme every week, but it was something that was kind of, you know, it came to me as I was thinking about things, which was, I heard Jordan Peterson say this. Now, hold on. I know there's people out there who aren't the biggest Jordan Peterson fan. It isn't about that. He was referring to a book about Jungian psychology, which was called Warrior King. I'll put the thing up here. Anywho, in that, there was a paradigm, which was the fool. I think it's the fool and the king. I'm sure I'll correct myself. Anywho, it's one of those things in life that has become very apparent to me. I'm going straight in on the deep end today, as you can tell. And that's that anything in life, you got to be the fool. The fool becomes the king, or the fool becomes the wise man, which one it is. And it's something that is so prevalent to me in life, and something that, you know, like I say, turned 30 the other week, had not a little bit of a breakdown, but I think it's interesting. This is another thing that I was talking to Andrew about, and I said, personally for me, it's one of those things that I know for ladies in particular, you know, there's certain pressures I feel in society that you should have a fucking kid by the time you're 30 and be married and have a house and all that shit. And it don't happen for everybody, and it doesn't need to fucking happen for everybody, you know, and we shouldn't all be fitting into the same fucking cookie cutter. Anyway, I know there's biological reasons at play for the kids and stuff, but by the by. And I don't believe that shit. And even if you don't believe that shit, if it's all just made up and fugazi and whatever, if you live in the world where everybody else fucking believes it, subconsciously it still is a thing, you know? And that's how I think I felt about turning 30, because being a musician, you think, oh man, I need to get it together and I need to have a big pad in LA and all the rest of it by the time I'm 30 to have made it. And I didn't, and I hadn't. And I think a big part of it was down to fear. It was down to fear in regards to taking the jump. And, you know, I touched on that in the past, and it's really dawned on me in my 30s where I was just like, man, fucking, sorry, man, I got this shit done up. Look at me, man. I'm not looking fresh, jeez. Anyway, and it kind of dawned on me that I was like, none of it fucking, it was a Gary V, man, you know I love that Gary V shit. It was another Gary V thing where it was just like, nobody gives a fuck. No one cares. And it's the same with like the edit last week. You know, I fucked the edit up and all the rest of it, but it was already late. There was the issue uploading to YouTube. I forgot that you have to wait for YouTube to fucking whatever, upload it and make it visible to you guys. And I kind of got to the point that I was like, there's a fucking saying which is perfection is the enemy of good enough. And that was something that I'm trying to live wholeheartedly. So I said it was going to be up by 7:30 and I fucked it, right? And instead of, you know, re-editing it and doing that, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. That, you know, it depends how you view it. But I was like, no, I'm trying to live this mantra of good is that perfection is the enemy of good. So I was like, no, it's staying there, you know, and I will learn for next time. So, and there's other things in the production, you know, that I fucked up in the past. Like I'm supposed to be a fucking sound engineer, right? And this microphone has two, like it picks up at the front or the back, and I fucked it up a few weeks ago. I had it the wrong way around, but none of y'all noticed through some trickery I did. And it's the same with that. And even today I was like, right, I'm going to try and record my videos at the weekends so it ain't late. I can edit it, upload it, and have it ready to roll for y'all people, right? And even now, I'm like, right, I'm going to go Saturday, I'm going to go do it. It's Sunday. You know, I was like, right, I'm going to fucking make sure I get my shit done. I haven't. You know, you're human. You're always going to have that element of not being perfect. But don't beat yourself up about it, you know. As long as you're making moves in the right direction. And it's the same with today. I was like, right, Sunday, you just fucking... I was worried I didn't have enough content to talk about, or, you know, the normal bullshit, resistance stuff. And I was like, no, I'm going to go and fucking record it. And it's going to be what it will be. And look at me here. Like, I went to go see my mum's. Dropped her some chocolates, you know, at her front door, and fucking ran 100 foot back, and, you know, whatever. But still, by the time I fucked around and I did that, no, I fucked around and got to my mum, sorry, obviously I love my mums. I'm here now, and I forgot the fucking time that it gets dark, and like now it's starting to go dark, and I'm like, oh, I should have brought the little light with me, and fucking, oh man. But if I then put that off and I come back tomorrow, do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, people get it. This isn't Hollywood, man. Like, you know, just try every time to be a little bit better. So I know next time, just bring the light, I've got a little light, just bring the little light in case. But I was worried it was going to look like I was shooting an episode of fucking Top Gear. I mean, I got this fucking microphone. I'm in this car, in this public car park. I'm petrified that someone's going to come up and be like, y'all making a dogging video? You know, or whatever. That's why I've got to keep the guitar handy, just in case I've got a fucking, you know, whatever. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I was sick and tired of being scared. I didn't even realise that I was scared, but I was scared of things in life, to try and take chances from being ridiculed and stuff. And this leads me on to my next thing, which is like, I'm starting to write a book. Yeah. Anybody that knows me knows I'm the most dyslexic motherfucker ever, but I kind of have these... I've been having some wild dreams lately. Wild dreams that I won't bore you with, but like... Man, dreaming that shit's like I'm in an army boat and we're going to war and we hit a fucking mine and it blows up and kills all of us, and I go into this white space and I'm waiting for death. It's fucking weird. And like then I wake up and scared the shit out of me, and I had some other dream about some monsters that were trying to get Lana, my cat, and everyone was scared of these fucking things. They're like size of a dog, no hair, running around. And I was like, nah, man, nobody's hurting my fucking cat, because my cat isn't allowed out because she's not neutered yet, and COVID's stopping it. And anyway, and one of these little motherfuckers ran up and jumped for my throat, and I grabbed it, like out of an action movie, grabbed it by the fucking gullet, and turned around. There was this like loads of spikes and some shit, and I fucking like pushed it into these spikes and killed that son of a bitch. And then another one came and I did the same thing to that, and all these other people watching around scared of this fucking thing. Fuck, I just realised maybe that's a metaphor for me conquering this fucking shit and doing this. Maybe that's what that is. Damn. Anyway, and I was like, no one's hurting my fucking cat. So I think I might end up being a slightly protective father, if that, you know, ever happens. Anywho, and it came to me that I was like, I'd like to try and write a novel. Now I know the first thing that comes to my mind is like, bro, you have a podcast, you're trying to write new music, blah, blah, blah. I'm the fucking biggest procrastinator of writing new music in the fucking world. I'll try and read 1,000 books before I touch a song. And, but I was like, no, half an hour a day, I'm gonna fucking try. I'm gonna try. Half an hour a day. It doesn't have to be good. Just do it. Just see what happens. And like, I had the first installment yesterday, and I wrote this mad fucking thing where it's like set in the 1920s-ish time. I'm really into conspiracy culture. Not that, like I said in the past, not that I believe it, but it's that I find it fascinating that there are so many alternative theories for history, like the Anunnaki and like ancient aliens and all that stuff, regardless if it's hilarious or not. I mean, fucking hell, we all believe what the Pope and the Church or whatever your religious whatever, do you know what I mean, says, and it's all a faith thing. And so theoretically, why can't the fucking ancient aliens be real? Who knows? Sorry if I offend anybody, didn't mean to, but what I'm trying to say is that I love listening to podcasts like that, because there's a tiny bit that's like, on the fun conspiracies. I know there's a lot of heavy ones, so I'm trying to diversify from that, about the ancient aliens and stuff like that, where I'm like, imagine if that shit was real. You know, it's like to fucking like believe, like I was saying with Andrew last week. Oh, by the way, everyone loved Andrew, got lots of good feedback. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know why she fucking likes this fucking schmuck, but anyway, that it kind of makes you feel that Santa might be real. Do you know what I mean? Because let's put it this way: when we pass on, ain't nobody knows what the next episode is, and nobody can, whatever. We just have our faiths in whatever our faiths are, but no one knows. And it's the same where it was like, I find it fascinating listening to that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, if you know the crazy, if somebody else crazy tries to come at you and throw a whole load of fucking flat gang or whatever, not that I'm saying that isn't the thing. Who knows? It might very well, this earth may be flat, but if you know more than the other person knows, you know if they're legit or not. Do you know what I mean? Because I think if somebody deeply believes something and whatever, then fucking all the best to you. Man, I just saw some kid do a fucking wheelie down the road and he's still going. Yeah, boy. Anyway, then all the fucking power to you. But you kind of know if someone's chatting bullshit in the same way, like you can have somebody from a fucking crazy cult that believes in leprechauns, I don't know. And if you know the history of that, do you know what I mean, thing, then you can call somebody on it and be like, you're just trying to sign me up to some stupid crazy shit. Or you can be like, well, they're legit in what their beliefs are. And anyway, I digress. And it was something where I just wanted to give it a go. Like in what I study in music and songwriting and lyric writing, like verbs, and this is something that I think in the future I might do a separate, maybe like a Twitch live stream or something, which is like write songs with me, which I'll try and have like a live stream for an hour where you're with me writing a song and I talk you through how I do it. Because I see some producers are starting to do that, but I don't see I'm not a proper songwriter, but I mean pen and pencil guitar writing a song, because I think it's fascinating, like, because everyone's so different, and if you had that as a thing that everybody does, I think it'd be great. And I was fucking around with the camera and all the rest of it, and OBX or OBS, whatever it's called, and I've kind of got it down to where like this will time out after 30 minutes, but a camera where anyway I can do longer things and all that shit. So that's something I'm thinking about in the future to do. But it's the fact that things like a lot of the books I read say that verbs are like the powerhouse of your songwriting, and adjectives and adverbs like add so much color to those things. And there's all these like, because I mean, let's put it this way, man, I went to Quarrendon, and Quarrendon was like not a great school, and I didn't have the best education. And admittedly, like I've never been told I've never been diagnosed with dyslexia, but my dad was so dyslexic that he went to like a school where they could teach him, in a certain way. And when I was at school, I had a really low spelling age, and like, yeah, I'll know that if you know me. And they said, oh, if you do loads of extra reading stuff, then it'll bring your spelling age up. So I was like, right. And I fucking did it. I went to the extra classes, did all of it. My reading age went fucking like 4 years ahead of where I was, but my spelling was still really low. Anyway, I digress. So basically, your boy can't spell and he might be dyslexic. But I also never learnt the fundamentals about English and language and sentence structure and how it works. And to some people, they don't give a shit. And some musicians can just write, and that's a blessing. But old fucking Tommy boy here struggles. So to try and make things more interesting, I dived into these books about songwriting and things like that. And to try and be able to learn how to write better shit. And it is so linked to literary writing and stuff that is very similar. Anyway, now I'm going to fucking seam these two together in regards to like what I wanted, what writing this book can do is like help me use all the thousands of hours of listening to conspiracy podcasts and all the history and stuff, and the kind of language exercise, the thinking about verbs, thinking about, there's a thing that says show, don't tell, and that's in songwriting and book writing from the fucking YouTube videos I watched yesterday on writing a book, where you learn kind of like exciting words and how to structure things, and it's all the fucking same muscles, baby. And it's the fact that the book may never see the light of fucking day, and and I may give up halfway through, I may do whatever, but it's not being scared to do something and not thinking like, oh well, it would never work for me, why am I trying? And fuck that thinking, man. We ain't about that here on the fucking 106 Mile podcast. This is, I mean, look at me, I've got a podcast. I don't fucking, who am I to have a podcast? But it's something I wanted to do, and I fucking did it. So anyway, half hour a day. But this leads me back to trying new things, getting into new shit. And it's the same with like the gym. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I used to love the gym. That was my thing. Before that, it was cigarettes and other fucking things you get addicted to. But for me, I could substitute all of that with going to the gym. And I went to the gym a lot for a couple of years and I loved it. And it was a real mainstay for me. However, with COVID and all the rest of it, in the first 6 months I did it, and then I moved home with my grandma and my uncle and stuff, and just didn't have the space, didn't have the motivation, whatever, fine. And it was like I said to you guys when I first started this podcast, like, I'm going to start doing bodyweight workouts and doing this, doing that. And then I went back to my fucking job, which I'm very grateful to have, don't get me wrong, but, oh, fucking Lord alive, floored me. Fucking floored me. Exhausted. And I just didn't have, I was like, I need to do a month of the job before I have the fucking capacity to get back to the gym as well on top or exercise and all that. But like I said, the fucking enemy of good enough is, perfection. Or I'm sorry, I'm butchering this fucking line, but so I was like, right, I'm going to do my diet. I'm going to, get back on counting my calories. And I know that isn't for everyone, but it works for me. And so I did that. And old fucking big boy here is down 10 pounds. Look at me, motherfucker. So I do it in American, in the poundage, because I like to know my fighting weight at all times. It's because like Rogan and all the rest of it, they talk about everything in pounds and it helps, And it was the same with this. I did like my body weight times 15, which gives you your calories, then you minus 400. I think it's off the top of my head. And that's how much you need to eat to kind of lose 2 pounds a weekish, something like that. And then you times your poundage, how much you weigh in pounds by 0.8, I think. And that does your protein if you're into your proteins and stuff. And it worked, and that structure is working for me again, and I know that I'm at least in that mindset for when I go back to the gym again. And it's the same with this, like, fuck, I'd love to one day have a big camper band or whatever and be able to do this show at a gig, a sound check, and have other bands in and be fucking cracking beers and smoking J, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying, and be able to talk to other musicians about stuff and, have proper, people that aren't just me. Anyway, I digress. So it's about not being scared of shit. And if I can do it, y'all can do it. So I started my book. The main character's called Jimmy James. I won't give away the plot too much, but it's basically about a jazz musician in West New York, at a place called the Cotton Club, which was an old jazz venue in the 20s. And the book's going to start off in a place called the what the fuck is it? The Columbia, which is my fucking laptop here. Which is a hotel in London, which I've stayed in loads of times, on Hyde Park. It's really old. It's owned by like one family who's owned it for fucking forever, and it's never go there. I mean, they're like I don't know what their religious beliefs are. However, I know that they don't believe in like computers and electricity and stuff like that, and that's all cool. And everything's done. It's an experience. Everything's done on like big sheets of paper. It's wild when you go into like check in and stuff. But it's very bare bones, and like Amy Winehouse stayed there. A lot of rock and rollers stay there. I think because it's like the cheapest place in central London to fucking get a place. Anyway, it starts off with him and his uncle in that room, and I won't go into it too much, but he's basically having a shooting match with the fucking Met Police down below, or whatever they're called in the 20s, and he looks to Jimmy. Jimmy's like a kid, and he says, never believe what the Pope and the King have told you. No, to suspend disbelief is to never believe what the Pope and the King have told you. Always be your own man, Jimmy James, as he kicks the window open and fires at the police. And the kid hears the police, running, the boots charging down the hallway and starting to kick the frame in and wane the door frame. And Jimmy James's fucking stomach is super tight and he's freaking out. He's, a 10-year-old kid. And as the uncle cocks his, I can't remember, a dragoon rifle is what they had back then, I think. He pops a shot at the Met. And then he says to him, always be your own man, Jimmy James. And then he jumps out of the window and cracks another shot. And the police are shouting, "You're going to hang for this, you're going to treat, you know, this is treason." And then he never sees it, never sees his uncle again. And he says, "That's the last I knew of family." And then the book cuts to Jimmy James in 1930-ish, after the First World War, living just outside of New York. And that's kind of where we're going to leave it now. But it's going to, you know, dip its toe into the conspiracy world and that of that time. Because the other thing that I thought was amazing is you talk about secret societies and all the rest of it and, you know, whatever. And it's the fact that if they're real, they've been real forever. If they're real. I mean, and they're probably not, but if they are, and it's kind of like, oh, that would be a really interesting... Imagine being in the fucking 20s, all the Gatsby action going on, and you'd fucking walk into some crazy secret society shit. I mean, you know, did they start the wars? Do you know, what were the wars? All that. It's fun and games. It's supposed to be, like, interesting, lighthearted, and, like, he has a love affair with somebody in the fucking band, and all this other good shit. And it's the fact that, like, even the name, Jimmy James, it might not be Jimmy James, it might be called Phil Craddock, I don't fucking know, but it doesn't matter because you can edit and change, and like I said, it may never see the light of day, but it's all about the joke. Like, in order to become the wise man, you have to start off as the joker. Or the fool or whatever it is. You always start off not knowing what the fuck you're doing. You always start off that way. When I was a kid learning guitar in my bedroom, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Still don't know what I'm doing now, but then over time you learn, and it's the same when I went for my job where I am now, right? Well, I went for my job where I am now. I went for a marketing job, which also I knew nothing about, but I was going to try and wing it. And I sat in the interview room, and they said, "Well, we read your CV. We think you're really cool. You know, you got a good background, but what do you know about sales?" And I looked at him, and I was like, "What the fuck are you on about? What do I know about sales?" And I said, "Nothing." And they kind of went, "Oh, right." And I said, "What can I ask? Why do you ask? Is it like a multi-skill job or?" And they said, "Oh yeah, this is a sales job." And I said, "No, motherfucker, I come from a marketing job." And I showed them the printout, and they were like, "Oh man, we sent the wrong thing to the fucking agent or whatever it was, or the agent put the wrong thing out." They were, you know, anywho, and they said, "Do you want to give it a shot?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." And like I said, I have no business being a salesperson, no fucking business. But I needed some money. When I was working at the festivals were over, so I thought, fuck it, give it a go. And we back. Anyway, like I was saying, I didn't have no business being a damn salesperson, and I thought, right, I'll give it a go. If I last a month, I get a paycheck and I'll fucking bounce, right? And it's when you think, oh, to be that person, I have to have all this experience and all this whatever. It's like, nah, man, you learn along the way. Apart from if you want to be a doctor or some shit, then you probably should go and study properly. Although I saw in the news that now they're saying that, I can't remember if it was doctors or nurses, but they might not need a degree before you... Bitch! Fucking... I want you to know what you're doing before you touch this fucking temple. God damn. Anyway, I digress. So, it's one of those things that I become, you know, a junior salesperson, and I was watching how other people do it, and it's not what you fucking... It's not what you think. Like, you think it's going to be Wolf of Wall Street, you're racking cocaine, and you're fucking... Do you know what I mean? And it's the fact that, like, if you want to do something, the passion will fucking pull you through. The paycheck will pull me through where I am now, and I'm all right, man. You know, I've been there 4 years. I must be doing something right. And it's the same with being in a band. It's the same with doing a podcast. It's the same with, you know, insert blank. You just get it going. You make mistakes along the way. You try and fix it. You get better. Same with bands. I mean, like, I've played to some of the best furniture in London because generally there was no people in those rooms, you know, but you get better with time and you learn, and you just got to start and get rid of the fear. And it's the same with, like, I've been dipping my toe into the finance world because I just thought, man... Oh, this is the other thing. If you try and go for the dragon's treasure, as they say, you always got to be prepared that you're going to fight the dragon. And you can get hurt fighting the dragon, and that's some real legitimate shit. Like, if there's a girl that you really like and you want to go talk to her, you have to be prepared that she's not going to like you and you're going to get rejected, and you got to fucking be cool with that shit. And it's the same with being in a band and, like, playing and if you don't put the practice in, you don't do the work, and shit, well, you're going to learn next time you need to have that shit locked. You know, or like I said with the podcast, if the battery in the camera dies or the microphone doesn't work you need to, for next time learn, you know, but the universe will teach you and the universe will fucking provide. And again, I'm going off onto another tangent here, but one thing I believe wholeheartedly is it's to use a metaphor or whatever English mechanic it is, to say that the world is a simulation wouldn't be far from the truth in my eyes. You know, now, literally, is it a simulation? Is it ones and zeros in the Matrix? I don't know, probably not. But I think it's one of those things that if you took a mobile phone, you know, like they say magic is, I don't fucking know, technology, but if you can't tell the difference between it and, you know, and it being ethereal or magic, then it might as well be magic. In the same way, if I went back 1,000 years and had, you know, 2 walkie-talkies that were fully charged and I stood one end of a fucking field and the other someone stood the other end, I used it, people would think that shit was ran by spirits and magic and gremlins. I don't fucking know. You wouldn't, but that would be how they would. It was like, I think the Native Americans, when they saw the first ships come over, they didn't understand what, they just didn't have the concept for what a ship was. So they thought it was like a beast, or, you know, sorry again if I'm butchering that, but it's the same thing where everybody says that something isn't possible until that shit happens. Now, I'm not saying I can run a fucking 2-minute marathon. I'm not saying that, but what I mean is, it's like in the news, right? Science fiction, the amount of times it becomes fucking science fact is scary. So I was flying to LA for the Dave Grohl thing that one day I'll tell you about that story, and I was on a flight, and it was my first flight on my own to America, first time in America, and I was like so psyched, and I was wearing like a fucking like suit trousers with a fucking nice white shirt and a fucking jumper on top, thinking I might get put up to first class if I looked nice, and that just didn't happen. But anyway, I sat next to this young woman, probably, or I don't know, I was probably early 20s, she was probably mid 20s, and I said, and we started chatting, and I said like, oh, what do you do? And she was saying, oh, I'm a neuroscientist, and I was like, oh, fascinating. And I was saying what I was doing there and all the rest of it. And I said, like, I'm not trying to I know I'm probably dumb in saying this and naive, but I have a theory. And she was like, uh-huh. And I said, the brain is just electrical pulses. And she was like, mm-hmm. And I said, so theoretically, if we record these electrical pulses, then we can play them back and store them and do all these things back in the brain. And she's like, pfft. And she just went, it don't work like that. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. I appreciate that. And then, fucking, I'm going to put it here, Elon Musk, the fucking Neurolink. And that's what it is. It's the fact they just record the fucking, the signals and they digitize it because it's the same as audio. Audio is analog air pressure, and we just take little readings from it with using electronics, and then we play back, you know, a rounding of that air pressure. But anyway, and so it's one of those things that even if a professional says, nah, you'll never do it, say, fuck you. Somebody turned down the Beatles, bitch. You know, and just push forward. As long as you're not hurting anybody and you fucking, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same now with, I saw in the weekly news or whatever, that the now hyper fucking jumps or whatever from Star Trek are a real thing where they can bend time and, or the theory, like the physics supports I'll put a fucking thing here that supports, you know, that hyperspace is now possible, or hyper jumps, you know, when they fucking when they go through space. And it's just like, man, just and it was the same with like, man, my friends know Alfie King's always fucking right in the end, right? So I said years ago, like, well, theoretically, couldn't you just put a screen on a contact lens and then, I don't know, electricity in your body power the contact lens, and you have and then look, Apple's fucking R&D in a contact lens. Anyway, it's one of those things that if you have I'm going to stop with the personal fucking, you know, whatever. This is not financial advice, by the way. Not financial advice, not financial advisor. Wait a minute, I'm going to cut this in before. I'm about to say some shit, and I'm not a financial advisor. Right, run it. So I dipped my toe in the crypto space, you know, a little while ago. And that, it was the same when the first thing went up, and, you know, everybody did it, and then we sold it off after a week, you know, and basically bought it at the most expensive and sold it at the worst time. Anyway, and it was the fact that I was like, I'm going to try and save some money and put it into crypto and blah, blah, blah. And again, before I was worried that I wouldn't do it right and I'd fuck it up, and who knows, I very well might. But I, you know, just did a thing called dollar cost averaging in, where you say, right, I'm going to invest £100 a month, right? So that's 25, 25, 25, 25. You split it into 4. Now you're going to get some charges, so you've got to be careful. But You do that 4-way split, and then you put it in. Okay, right, we're back. So you buy at the top, and then it drops to the fucking floor, right? And then you have no more money to invest because you put your £100, you fucking put it in too quick, right? And then you get to the next month, and it's gone back up again because everyone's bought it because it's gone down. So then you put the, you know what I'm saying? So you always hit the top. So like, fuck, but if you average it, then, you know, you'll get a bit at the top, bit at the bottom, you know, on the, anyway. So stuff like that was just a little bit of research. That's why they say always do your own research, man. And it was and so I was listening to some podcasts about crypto and blah, blah, blah. And there's a thing called Mana Coin, which is like, there's a fucking game which is like Minecraft for adults. But it's more like people, avatars and stuff. And they've created this thing called Decentralized Land, this game. And you spawn in decentralized land in this main hub. And then you kind of have like patches where you can build whatever the fuck you want, digital land, right? And I'm not sure if they give you some for free but anyway, you can buy, they call it like estates and shit like that, right? And you buy an estate and you can build on that estate. You know, the closer you are to the center of where people get spawned, you know, you're going to have more traffic, you can hold it and it'll get value. And anyway, the crypto that they've made for this is called Mana Coin, MANA, right? Now, man, there's some motherfucker driving up here. I hope they don't fucking want to charge because they're just going to look weird as shit. Then they go and buy. Okay. So there's Mana Coin. So I was like, right, it's 30p a coin. I'm going to put a little bit of money in. And I did my £100 and I, you know, averaged in. And I did it a little quick because I was feeling a little bit feisty. Did it over a couple of days. And it fucking went up. I bought it at 30p and it went up to like 81 per coin, which ended up like, I think I made 100, I made £60 on top of it. And I was all worried about tax and all the rest of it, but there's a thing called capital gains that you have to pay on, like, if you make more than 12.5 grand of gains. So if I made 12.5 grand of profit, after that I have to pay tax. I was like, fuck it, doesn't matter. I ain't never gonna make that much money in a year. And I sold. I'm selling, I'm getting out. I kept 100 in, but took my 60 profit. And then guess what? The fucking thing kept going up. So it just shows that I fucked it up, but I got a little bit out of it, and then who knows what the future may bring. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for blues and music and shit like that. So I'm sorry if I bored you about cryptocurrency, but I was just trying to round the picture. And it's the same with stocks and shares, and I'm trying to get into that some more, and, you know, just a little bit of money, learning. I was like, all these rich fucks do it. There must be a way that old fucking Alfie King can get some action and try and, instead of just keeping money in the savings account, how can you do this smartly? How can we do this, you know, and you don't just go and slam £1,000 on Apple and hope to fuck that, you know, the new iPad's going to be blessed. You know, reading into it, again, not financial advice, but there's a thing called, like, you can go to Vanguard and there's an index fund, and, you know, you can get a mutual, and they'll I think it's the top 100 companies in the US or the UK, got the FTSE 100 and all that kind of stuff. And if you put £100 in, they'll distribute it. You know, this is dumbing it down, but, you know, £1 in each one. And so you're diversifying risk, because if the top 100 companies go through the pan, we're all fucked. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and like Warren Buffett said, nobody's ever beaten an index fund. He did a £2.2 million challenge to an index, to a brokerage, cash fucking fund. And over 10 years or whatever it was, he just put his money in this index fund, and they tried to guess and pick the fucking next hot stock, and guess what? The index fund won, because, you know, and overall, you know, it always goes up. It might drop, but as long as you ain't got to touch that money in 5 or 10 years, eventually you'll ride out of it in up. So it was learning about smart ways of doing stuff like that and not being scared. And, like, I was so worried about tax, and it's the same with doing music and doing this. And one thing that kept me from doing it was, like, what happens if I make money on adverts? What happens if, like, I have to pay tax, and fucking my boss is going to find out I've been doing this other thing? And then I read into it like a fucking adult instead of just trying to talk to myself in my head. And I found out that, like, you have this 12.5 grand capital gains fucking thing, right? And it's the same with investing in stocks and shares. And I mean, I think if you earn over £1,000 on side hustles or anything like that, you have to declare it, don't get me wrong, but with the tax man. But if you're putting money into, like, trading 2 on 2 or someone like that, not sponsored, you can you have, like, the ISA, which wraps the tax, so you can put 20 grand a year in, and any profits you make or whatever, you don't pay any fucking tax on it. you know, and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is go out and educate yourself. There's so much on YouTube now for fucking, if I can do it, anyone can fucking do it, you know. But be prepared to lose it. Be prepared to lose all that money if it fucks up, you know. Anyway, I digress. Music, baby, music. Trying to mix this up a little bit to give you a little taste of me. Sometimes it's going to be general shit in the week. Sometimes it's going to be what's going on in the Alfie King finance world. And hey, it's going to be an interesting venture. Maybe you think I'm a fucking moron, and I can come back and tell you in a month, in a month's time, like, guess what? The fool's still the fool. We lost all the fucking money. Do you know what I'm saying? But then I learned for the next time. So it's about breaking out your fucking what you're scared of and shit. Anyway, so I'm now going to cut to the album review of the week. Now, the album review of the week, I was going to do the double. Now, unfortunately, didn't have enough time to do the double justice, so I listened to one. Shit's getting darker as well. We're fucking howling in the moonlight. Oh man, I had one of the songs come on from that now in my Spotify, and I was like, oh yeah, banger. So it's like feeding the algorithm, right? So I'm digging it. Anywho, so double didn't do the Junior Kimbrough, I'm sorry, but we did the big Mama Thornton with the Muddy Waters Blues Band, and I found it fascinating. So the thing with the Muddy Waters Blues Band, the chess record and the whole thing, and I can't wait to get Pete on when COVID's over, because he's fucking so good at this shit and passionate, that you had the chess sound, like there was definitely a sound to that room, and you had the chess band, right, where, no, not the band, but you had the Muddy Waters Band, again, very much its own sound. There's like little Walter playing the harmonica, and it's very interesting. I was saying to Pete that it's similar to, so, you know, like we have Hendrix and like the guitarist fucking all over the place. I think, I have a theory that came from little Walter playing the harmonica, because if you listen to those Muddy Waters records, he's blowing all over the track. You know, he's just playing over it. And there's even a thing in the movie Cadillac Records I was saying about watching, man, it's such a good film, that he's just playing all over it. And they're like, what the fuck's this guy doing? And Chess said, like, let him play that shit. Right now, there's a guy called Buddy Guy, and he was young when Chess Records was, when Muddy Waters was playing and all the rest of it, and he was a guitarist that was hired, and he was like wild and playing this crazy shit, right? And they were like, no, don't, just play, it's all about the song, just play your shit. It was only little Walter that could play all over a track, right? But it was interesting because I heard a thing from Buddy Guy where he was saying that, so there's a guitar thing, right, where, well, Buddy Guy said that he always learned like new ways of playing from other people, from other musicians, right? So he was so say you're playing a solo and you go, sorry, say you're playing, right, single notes, okay? He was saying that you have a thing called the tonic. You don't have to know what that means, but it's the key. We're in this key, right? Everything's relevant to, always goes back to, okay? So you keep playing that for every note. Can you hear that on the top? Right? Now, he got that from a piano player. He said watching a piano player, and I think that he did the same thing with little Walter, with that just fucking wailing, playing. Now, again, fast forward a little bit. Hendrix, like, this is the thing people don't realise. Buddy Guy, fucking Hendrix, right, he's just the next step for Buddy Guy. Or he took massive inspiration, and SRV as well, and in my humble opinion, you know. So I think that that's where he got it from. But unfortunately, Chess didn't want him to do it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I digress. So there's like this sound, the Muddy Waters Band sound, okay? And again, when you start the album, and that was the wonderful thing about this album, you know, it is Big Mama Thornton with the Muddy Waters Blues Band. I'm feeling all right. That is 100% that fucking dum ba bum bum ba da dum ba dum ba dum, you know, that whole sound, and it's sick. And I thought, like, okay, so is this going to be an album of, you know, basically Muddy Waters backing tracks, because the blues uses a similar harmonic thing for some of the songs, and then she just sings different words over the top like her own music and stuff. But it wasn't. I was pleasantly surprised. It was one of those things that you got I don't know if this is a reflection of her or a reflection of what they were trying to do with the label, i.e. like, we're going to do a blues album with the Muddy Waters Blues Band with you, but what we're going to do is just throw in these other little spicy bits and see if anything takes off. You know, there's a bit of gospel in there or like influence music and a bit of other stuff. But as I was listening to it, there's a song called like Guide Me Home and a few other bits that I was like, oh, it's so refreshing. There was even like some Ray Charles style stuff in there, which kind of just added to the depth. And again, it's the same with one of the Howlin' Wolf ones that we listened to last week, where I think it was Howlin' in the Moonlight, where there was some stuff that were kind of like maybe B-sides or stuff that wasn't released maybe, that kind of added to seeing a bit more into what was going on in the studio then, you know. So there's stuff like Black Rat Take 2, or there's Feeling Alright fast version, and you get these kind of other takes that may not have been released at the time, or maybe this is just the version of the album that I was listening to. So I found it really interesting that you got this mix of music. Now eventually, you know, when the cash flow gets a bit better and the world turns on again, I'd like to get a record player again, and then when I'm doing these doubles, be able to buy the record of it, because, you know, I think that would be a really sick thing to have this nice collection of blues records at the end of all of this. So anyway, so that was this week's double. Now I think being a grown up about it, and without disappointing y'all, remember, don't let perfection get in the way of good enough, he says in the fucking image that's probably too blacked out, and sorry if the image looks shit because there's not enough light. I'm sorry, I'm learning, man. However, next week we got the Junior Kimbrough All Night Long. Now there's a documentary I watched about Junior Kimbrough when I was on furlough, and it was fascinating, because this is one of the things that, and I'm gonna lead on one other thing and then probably close this one out, this week's podcast out, and that's that it's an interesting concept, because you get some people that say, and the thing is, I saw this organically on people's Instagrams, and they're saying like, if you like an artist and they release a song, don't just click on the Spotify and listen for 10 seconds and just to say like I turned up and then leave, because it hurts the algorithm and, you know, whatever. Only like just listen to it, or maybe listen to it a few times, you know, make sure you have the time to sit and do it properly. And where that's good information, I agree. You know, I saw a very high, I think he's like a record producer, like disco dance music and disco, fucking hell, whatever the kids call the rave or whatever these days, EDM or some shit. And he was just like, nah, don't do that to your audience. Like, if they want to listen, they'll listen. If the song's not good enough, they'll turn it off. You know, and it's one of those things that I'm like, I think I'm on the side of the fucking producer. It's like, don't guilt your audience. And I think the same thing. It's like, if I make a podcast and y'all think it's shit, then don't listen to it. And I'm cool with that. I'm not going to get hurt about it. But again, I'm not making my living from it. But on the other side, it's like, I wouldn't want to be, I don't like being guilted into listening to stuff. And if you, and maybe it's just like, oh, why aren't I getting the streams or whatever? Maybe your music isn't good enough or whatever, or it's not there yet. You need to write a few more albums of shit to get it going, you know, to learn and to grow and to, you know, and it's this, and don't be put off by the fact you didn't get many streams. Same as this, man. It don't matter if I get 5 streams or if it's just, you know, my girlfriend and my fucking whoever that sees it. Because we're learning, we're growing, we're doing it, you know. So anyway, that's my fucking 2 cents on that shit. So I think I'm going to round this week off. So we went a little bit different, went a little bit serious from the start. I'm going to try and keep y'all in the loop. Also going to try another thing next week. Always about trying this new shit, right? But you got to keep yourself accountable. Remember that. Don't just start stuff. People don't like people that don't finish. So I was finding that I'm just fucked when I get home from work. Dead. Can't look at a screen. My eyes hurt. It don't matter. I can pound Monster drinks. It doesn't. Physically, I can't look at a screen anymore, right? Because that's all I do all day. So part of me's thinking about getting up, fucking crack a downing like 4 a.m. or whatever, and trying that and doing stuff before going to work, like editing video and doing this and whatever. So to see if it can help with the productivity. And people like lose their shit and they're like, oh my God, you can't get it. And I used to do it all the time when I went to the gym. I'll go to the gym early in the morning and all the rest of it. And I'm like, yeah, but you just go to bed earlier. And it just comes down to like, if you have a job that you enjoy, or you're lucky enough to be in a position where you're living your passion on a day-to-day basis, then in the evenings you get to enjoy watching the TV and you know what I'm saying? Fucking stroking the dog or whatever and just chilling. Where if you're not there yet and you have to, do a day job but you want that hustle, you want that fucking thing. And like for old Billy fucking hard to see over here, you just got to find a solution if it's not working for you. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same with this. It was like, I just can't do this work in the evening. I'm too fucking tired. So I'm fucking useless in the evening now, especially after 9. So I was like, right, we're just going to go to bed at 9 and get up at 4 and then do 2 hours of work before work. And you're still getting the same sleep and it's just, well, what do you want out of fucking life? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this bitch up because all I'm doing about is talking fucking motivational shit this week. So obviously that's in the air. 106 miles Chicago, gotta get there, fall down. Come on now, brother, you want my long. 106 miles, baby, hope you got some stories to tell. 106 miles.